Hello and welcome to Footballland. This is where we are building a football-themed theme park in the Qatari desert after we've been accidentally given $1 billion. With me is Ryan Baxter.
Hello.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, hi there, Mark. I'm really glad that you are taking this seriously now.
Yeah, it was really...
You spent like 6 weeks being like, well, this is the improvised podcast in which the premise, this is the premise. No. And now you're like, you're taking it seriously and you've turned a new leaf.
Yeah. And, as soon as I built a prototype, the shit got real.
And that prototype looked great. And I'm really glad that you've belatedly stepped up to the plate.
Thank you. Yeah,
I think we misinterpreted it as he was, being a bit facetious or not taking it seriously. But actually, I think it was just he was a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
It was fear.
Well, well done, Mark.
Thank you.
At last.
Yeah.
And, I
feel proud of myself.
Do you know what I was going to say today? I was going to say, let's get our hard hats on, let's start building. I brought 2 shovels, but now you're finally getting serious.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to design a serious ride this week,
let's
so
have
it'd be a shame to miss it.
Round of ride ideas before we put our hard hats on.
That's true.
But I have got the shovels, and that cost another 150 quid.
I was going to ask you about the shovels.
Yeah, what about them, mate?
Well, I thought great that you bought them, but we need plane tickets before shovels.
What are you going to do when you're out there? Well, mate, everything in Qatar is really expensive.
What are you going to do with the shovels here?
Put them on the plane.
Well, it's quite hard to get that through
that's what I'm
security.
Saying.
Yeah, but you don't have to. That's why you put them. You check them in. We're going to check them in. Let's get a bag.
Have you got a bag big enough for a shovel?
A snowboard bag.
Yeah. I'm going to need a new...
Are you saying nobody transports shovels internationally?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think anybody takes their own shovel. That's mad.
What about in the Gold Rush era?
No, they didn't.
David Gold and Ian Rush. With 2 shovels. Transatlantic flight. Virgin Atlantic.
This is a Footballland idea for another episode.
Yeah, for the CONCACAF, for the Gold Rush. Nobody takes their own shovels, and people made lots of money selling shovels to prospectors.
Also,
in the
nobody,
West.
visionaries, right? Mozart, how did he come up with his music? Footballland, how did we come up with our park? Nobody thought to bring a shovel on a plane until today.
Didn't Mozart just come up with his music by ripping off other people? And he was also, his dad was a pianist and a pianist teacher. His sister was. And his dad was just like a pushy parent and just was like, oh, he's a bit good. Tell you what, we'll get him on the circuit.
So you're saying that Mozart was the equivalent of like Rory Delap and Liam Delap was...
Well, he started on the open harpsichord circuit in Vienna.
That was a big laugh.
I love how
that deserved a bigger laugh from you.
You know what I'm like? I don't really laugh.
That's not true. You're always laughing on this. You're just doing wee jokes.
I'm just saying to you, mate. We'll get the shovels. We've already got them. I'm sorry. We've got our hard hats. I'll tell you what. Let's meet in the middle. We'll buy our hard hats in Doha.
Thank you. Because let's not buy all the kind of like heavy plant stuff here.
Not very many plants.
What we could save on the hard hats if, say, I'm digging, you two can just hold your shovels over my head as I'm digging. If anything hard falls on my head, I'm protected.
Yeah, that sounds efficient.
Yeah.
All right then.
All right, let's get some jingle.
Yep.
Mark.
Okay, I will pitch first. Now, I freely admit I don't know what this is, so I'm going to need both of your creative juices to be in full flow.
I'm going to juice all over this one.
It's inspired, it's called, working title, The Revenge of the Picked Last Kids.
Okay.
Ooh. And it's inspired by that experience, and I was going to say I never experienced this, but then I remembered I did.
No.
When you're picking sides in playground football, it's always the fear. You've got 2 captains, usually the 2 best players, and they pick one picks each until there's 2 left. And the fear of being picked last, it's such a shameful, ignominious thing to suffer.
Yeah.
You never quite get over it. And I was going to say it never happened to me because I was lucky enough that I was good at football, but it did when I was on a kind of summer retreat and I was the youngest one there. So the older boys were picking and nobody wanted little teeny tiny me.
Age as a factor there.
Yeah.
Age as a factor. You shouldn't have been ashamed.
I know, but it did feel deeply shaming that no one wanted me on their side.
The worst is if you're the oldest there and you don't get picked last.
Yeah, God, that would be... So the kids that were generally picked last, and it wasn't just playground football, we had a PE teacher that would insist we pick sides for the PE lesson.
Yeah.
And I remember being young enough to think that if I'm chosen to be captain, which I was once, I'll just pick my mates, and my mates weren't necessarily the best players.
Yeah.
So that was a horribly imbalanced game. I was loyal to my friends, but the other guy picked all the best players, and we got hammered. And generally, I mean, we're not going to go into too much detail here, but generally the kids that were picked last were either are less fit than the others. They were usually overweight, and they usually were forced to go in goal, which is why goalkeepers got a bad press in early football years. Or they were spotty kind of chess playing math geniuses that just hated all kinds of physical activity. Either way, it doesn't excuse the levels of shame that were heaped on them. So I want to introduce something into the park that offers comfort for these people.
Okay.
Because they may have grown into becoming football fans whilst never shaking the experience of whenever we actually played, I was the kid that was picked last. So
are you thinking it's a roller coastery ride? Or
no, well,
you literally just pick the child, you pick someone who looks like they were picked last and just give them the day of a lifetime. You pamper them.
Well, that
lovely
would work.
Spa day.
I mean, I think when they buy their ticket, we've got a lot of data capture to do for other rides and other reasons. But I think one of the questions on that form when you buy your ticket is, did you ever suffer the shame of being picked last? Probably not worded in such a loaded manner. But if we can somehow gather in information so we know these 8 people coming through between 1 and 2 o'clock on this day, they were all picked last.
Yeah,
we can take them to one side. And I'm thinking, like, maybe we get like 100 of them, and they play 2 professional players, like that video from Japan of 2 professional players with 100. I mean,
but how are you picking them all at the same time?
I know how.
One of them is still going to get picked last.
I know how.
Go on.
How?
You go to the Sports Journalist Writers Awards.
Oh yeah.
It's just the whole room. Because there's already a job for people that got picked last. It's called journalism. It's called sports journalism.
Really? That's what they do, is it?
I think that's their ultimate revenge on the
they get to vote on the players.
They get to vote on the players. They get to write about the players week in, week out.
And if you're Oliver Holt, you get to style your hair like the players.
Yeah.
Like
surely if that were true, though, all football journalism would be scathing.
Well, it pretty much is, isn't it?
Pretty much is, yeah. A bit it's very polarised, isn't it? It's one or the other. It's scathing or sycophantic.
Yeah.
And
it's a puff piece, or it's ripping someone to shreds.
So they're either they're traumatised by their school days, in which they're trying to still curry favour with the best player and get not picked last, or they're taking full-on revenge.
Right. So let's capitalise or focus on the element of revenge then.
Yeah, I like revenge.
So we need to also isolate those who were usually team captains or picked first.
Yeah.
And that's who these picked last kids will have their revenge. And, some of these are going to be in their 50s, 60s, 70s even. But how do we want to replicate that shameful experience for those people who've never experienced it before?
Yeah, I think, and the way we find them is we look on their LinkedIn profile, and it's probably people that are like head of sales. And they'll be called like Tony or Dave. Lots of like Daves.
Yeah.
Or Steve. Or Stevie, Steve-O. And so any of we could probably just type Steve marketing or Steve regional sales manager, and that's who they were first.
But what do we do to them?
Yeah, this is the question. I mean, the picket, you're going through a lot of the how to harvest people's data.
Identifying is the first. We can't just willy-nilly just go up and start pantsing people.
But should we then form a team of 11 of those picked first school playground heroes and force them to play in like fat suits?
But maybe. Well, I was going to say a lot of these people don't actually want to play football. The person who was picked last. Yeah,
are those people not going to go to Footballland?
They might be there because their partner really likes football.
Yeah,
they might be there because their kids love football. It's like who goes to Disneyland and loves Disney apart from the children and the weirdos that do.
You're going to want to exact revenge for that shameful, formative, traumatic experience.
Yeah. we could like hide them in mascot outfits, so they could still be hidden from view. So there's no shaming. So even that aspect, because even if we said these kids were picked last, is like continuing that legacy into adulthood. That might not be something. It's like that rubbish singy show where they've got the masked singer. Yeah. Like it's like the picked last kid, but we never see their face. I know that show you do.
I have a slight problem with the mascot aspect to this, because where else do we use mascots in Footballland? Ah, yes. when we've stolen your clothes in the International Break Hotel and you've got to put on a mascot's costume hurriedly, otherwise your naked body is going to get shown to the nation.
Yeah.
You know, if we're giving these picked last kids who've already gone through a lot of trauma a mascot to wear, they might think they're having to put it on, otherwise their erection will get shown to live on TV.
That's a grey area. It muddies the water, doesn't it?
It does muddy the water.
But what about picked last kids in mascots outfits versus playground heroes butt naked?
Yeah, but
it's hard to play football like that, and it's quite shaming.
Yeah, it's hard to play football in naked. The Greeks were great at sport naked.
Did they win the World Cup? I don't think so.
They won the Euros naked.
No, it wasn't ancient Greece.
Yeah, but they were still naked.
Yeah, that's how they won it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, Karisteas. He had an erection the whole of the final.
Which is very distressing.
Just knobbed it in. That means you could lob the keeper or knob the keeper.
Well, one of you knobs the keeper, distracts them. The other one...
I like this. I think it's got a good heart, but it is quite difficult. We're asking people to relive childhood trauma. I believe the word is triggering these days.
Yes, it's true. Is the key not in revenge? Is it kind of growing and learning from your formative experience and turning it to good? Turning it to a positive.
How do you turn that into a theme park ride? Well, you've only got 5 minutes.
Do you know what? I think I might have found a solution.
Go on.
We're not necessarily going to get people to admit that they were picked last, but you're definitely going to get people to admit that they were captains and they were the pickers, because they're probably still hubristic. Yeah, they're still going to be quite like peacocks. Yeah, and we can round them up.
Yeah,
and kill them.
I mean, it's one option, but that's I think if you think of it from that, don't think of it. What we're going to do is we're going to patronise picked on kids retroactively, but modern now for them back then, so they can tune in and watch it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If they're still into that, if they're still traumatized, not too triggery or whatever it is these days, they can watch a ritual humiliation of team captains and regional managers and people that work in marketing.
Okay, well that's cathartic.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, and I don't know what level of humiliation.
Send us your ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't want
that.
You could get someone who was picked last and someone who was a captain, and just make them have like a reconciliation together, like North and South Korea. You know, when you get people like 40 years ago separated by the border, you know, and they have that really tearful moment in the DMZ. You know, in North Korea.
This is the Hollywood version that we need.
Yeah, it's more like the Grange Hill version.
Yeah.
And we just get, John,
Zamo
you were both,
and Roland.
You were both in Sycamore class at primary school. Jono, you were the captain. You might not remember this, but you did pick Zamo last. We've tracked you both down. You were wondering why we've got you free tickets to Footballland and brought you out 1,000 miles out to Qatar.
We film it in soft focus with the theme from Titanic playing because it's beautiful.
Yeah,
not Grange Hill.
We don't predict what they do. So they could make out, they could shake hands.
Yeah.
The pick last kid could punch the living daylights out. Whatever. You just get given that as an MPEG.
Yeah, and you and you say You say to them,
given this as a outdated form of audio-visual material.
It's VHS, but that really small one that would only have 5 minutes of maximum, like when you did a parachute jump.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to need more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. And we say to them, just have at it. Here's a room. Get a function
room.
For it.
I feel like where we've reached with this, we could have got to very quickly.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often on Footballland. What we've done is we expanded it out, we blew it up, and then we brought it back to essentially two people meeting and either having a handshake or having a fight.
Yeah, and that's what life is. If you think about it, that is every meeting together with people.
That's a metaphor for what we're doing.
Is it?
I think I'm ready to vote on that. Yeah.
It's ready to vote on it.
All those in favour of having some kind of the revenge of the Picked Last Kids incorporated into Footballland, after 3 say aye. 1, 2, 3. Aye.
No.
Yeah.
No. We need to work harder than that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the XG Experience.
Ooh.
XG. We all love a bit of XG, don't we? Especially us stats nerds.
I don't know what that is.
You know what it's...
Expected goals.
Yeah, expected goals.
I know what that is.
We love expected goals. Of course we do. Finishing watching a game, it was 3-0. Oh, but what was the expected goals?
Yeah.
Oh, it was only 2.43, 1.7.
I know.
How do they calculate it?
They calculate it. I was in the trials with OPTA, yeah. When they trialled tracking people, and they invited me to an 11-a-side game of football. That's Sutton United. But how do we translate that to the park? We have to have XG in the park. It's 2022, for God's sake. So let's track everyone. And I know you're saying, let's have fewer clones. But Mark, you've just got to build some clones, right?
Let's have more clones.
At the end of, there's two ways of doing this. Do you want? I'm going to pitch no clones, and then I'll pitch clones.
All
okay?
Right.
And I guarantee by the end of it,
is technically knowns.
Yeah, I guarantee by the end of it, you'll be clamouring for clones.
Go on.
At the end of your day out of Footballland, the boffins get in touch with you. They send you your data on the app, and they just tell you how many rides you could have been on, how many things you could have done. If you'd have either been a bit more less lazy, a bit more quick around the park, or a bit more lucky, some of the queues, etc.
You might have enforced by Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, you might have exactly.
Less risk averse when you look at all the very dangerous rides we've got.
That's exactly right. So you'd get the app and it'd just say, "Oh, you went on 7 rides. You could have gone on 8.4, or you could have gone on 3.7. But well done, you went on more."
So we can give them a heat map as well.
We can give them a heat map around the park. Yeah, we can do it. We'll team up with OPTA and we'll sort it all out.
Yeah.
Fine. Boring though, right? I mean, imagine Chris Sutton. He's going to go, "Oh, XG, it's shit, isn't it? Oh, XG. On 606, they won't be impressed. We need to Hollywoodify this up."
Does XG in this instance stand for expected goes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Expected goes on everything. Go on, Bob.
I know I asked this earlier, but I didn't really get an answer. How do they genuinely calculate XG?
Well, I think they just look at each chance that a team has, and one of them in the team just goes, "Do you reckon they should have scored that?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Is it as unscientific as that?
No, it's not. It's algorithmic. There's lots that goes into it. It's not what Anthony's saying, which is a bloke going, "Do you
reckon that would have gone in?"
Boffins, as he described them. A group of boffins, which sounds like a Trumpy puffin, in a room going, "Oh, yeah."
But what is it for? What does it actually mean?
Well, it's just stats. And also, it's like, everyone in football always says, "Oh, we should have won that." So for a century, everyone was like, "Oh, we were robbed there," or "We should have won that." And then OPTA came around and said, "Well, here's a scientific way of you saying you should have won it."
Yeah.
Or you got lucky.
Yeah. So it's not meaningless.
No, it's not meaningless. No, but I think a lot of pundits hate it because they're old school, right? And they don't like stats. Now, clones. Right. Okay. We can do this because we've got the money.
Yeah.
We know we've cloned stuff before. We can do it again.
Sheep.
We clone every single person in the park. Every single person that goes to Footballland. Okay? We clone them, all right?
Mark, I want to see the video of these tests.
Yep, it might take a bit longer.
We create... I know you're saying, let's try and be a bit more frugal. Let's try and not spend so much. Let's create an exact replica of Footballland that we put all the clones in.
Yeah.
And let's have them going about their day in Footballland so that then at the end of... And we'll film it. Ooh. So then at the end of your day in Footballland, instead of getting from the boffins at OPTA, you can actually watch what your clone would have done in the ultimate, in better conditions.
So you don't need to actually go to Footballland. You can send your clone there and see what kind of time you would have had if you had gone.
Yeah, but it's always good to go. It's always good to go.
Can we not do that virtually? Do we have to?
I was going to say, could we?
Well, there's a couple of problems with cloning.
Yes, there are.
There's going to be a lot of killing. We're going to have to kill all these clones. And also these clones are going to realise that you're there watching. They're going to realise they're clones. So my thoughts was maybe to put them at the bottom of like an ocean and give them gills so that there's a Footballland under the sea.
I think the ball would behave very differently. Underwater football.
So your solution to clones working out that they're clones
was out of sight, out of mind. So there's no way they're going to realise that they're clones of other people because they'll be under the sea in a replica Footballland with gills.
It's a creative solution, I'll give you that.
We could put them on the moon.
Yeah, but as we say...
Send them up in the Ronaldo rocket.
We could. The moon. I still feel... I know, when you hear, scientists say, oh, yeah, but forget space because there's so much of under the water that's unexplored.
Yes.
It's fuck off, mate. Have you seen the universe?
Yeah.
That's huge.
A bit more impressive.
Yeah.
But it's true. We do know more about deep space than we know about our own oceans.
Yeah,
that is true.
So why don't we put them right at the bottom of the ocean with the light fish, and then these gills we can switch off the gills. And then they can die naturally. And then we have to
prestige them.
Yeah, prestige them for real.
We're starting to use the term prestige them. as a verb.
Are you saying we just get the app and forget the clones?
I am. We're getting close to the opening of Footballland.
Simulation?
Mark hasn't created a single clone yet.
Oh, okay.
And now you want to...
I've tried.
It's not for the want of trying.
I've got something that looks a bit like scrambled egg. It's the closest
got bits of people.
Scrambled egg with an eye that keeps looking at me. That's the best I can do.
Who's cropped all the time.
You saying Down Anderton looked like scrambled egg with one eye?
I'm just saying, he was always injured, so in my mind, he's just like a jellyfish.
He wasn't so badly injured that he looked like scrambled egg.
Floating about the pitch.
I'm going to... What I like about this expected goes on a ride is it entices people to come back.
Yeah.
You're reminding people that there was so much of Footballland that they didn't get to go on.
That's right, yeah.
Rather than creating this kind of ethical dilemma of cloning them and fitting them with gills and putting them on
but you've got to respect the fact that that's so that they don't realise that they're cloned.
I have to say, I think that's...
If we put a neighbouring park, if we just had Footballland here and then Footballland next to it,
I don't know if...
then the clones would rise up and mutiny.
If I get good at doing clones, if I get good at doing clones and they look less like scrambled egg and more like people, we are going to run the risk of we don't know which is the real footballer.
Well, that's why you say give them gills, for goodness sake. Put them at the bottom of the sea.
I can't help thinking that's an expensive red herring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second idea, simulation. Watch a simulation of it, a bit like, literally Rollercoaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
You're just watching a simulation of yourself going around. Oh, I could have done that, could have done that, could have done that, could have done that.
People like those little avatars of themselves and stuff.
We could create it in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Team up with Facebook.
Yeah.
However...
there's a however.
The app is easier. With not long to go...
I think we could probably buy some kind of off-the-shelf piece of software that's going to roughly do this. We could probably tweak the XG algorithm to do a bit of we could swap out shots in the kind of whatever quadrant to the Footballland equivalent, which is probably the shit yourself loop the loop.
Yeah.
So we could kind of just trade the like for like on the algorithm. Yeah. I think that there's going to be maybe we could put a buff into better use rather than cloning people with gills and building an undersea Footballland Atlantis.
What if, Ryan, you look at the phone simulation and you're looking at yourself and you're looking at your wife. And your wife's falling for another simulated man. Like
a friend of mine in the early days.
I don't know if that's a real concern.
Well, a friend of mine in the early days of Second Life. You know Second Life?
Oh, yeah.
He played. He only just got married.
Yeah.
And he and his wife got addicted to Second Life.
Right.
And he described the experience of watching her flirt with loads of other men and getting a hot tub in Second Life.
Getting a Pop-Tart, did you say?
No, getting a hot tub with loads of other men. And
you don't want to make a Pop-Tart in a hot tub.
No.
He got insanely jealous. And
Oh, yeah.
each of them couldn't see the other person's point of view. She couldn't see, it's just a game in Second Life. And he's like, yeah, but
other men in
you're
his chat room
with other men in a hot tub, albeit virtually.
Yeah.
And that's the problem we've got with this simulation. If you see, you and your partner are watching the simulation and you see her, it's going to be like a Shakespeare play. It'll be like The Winter's Tale. You're going to get sickened with jealousy.
He wrote about virtual reality, Shakespeare. He was that advanced.
Yeah.
I don't think that's as much of a concern as trying to work out how clones aren't going to realise they're clones and just throwing salt water at the problem.
Yeah.
I think
Atlantis for clones.
Yeah, I don't
think... It's quadrupled the budget.
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about that. That's people's private life, whether their wife becomes attracted to the avatar. But we would
get in trouble because they'd be like, why have you created a simulation where my wife is straying?
I think we just have a little one of those at the bottom of when you get your ticket.
Yeah.
There's a little tick box. And if we word it right, people won't know what they're opting in or out for.
So what is the wording?
It's that thing where it's like,
do you
tick this box if you do not want to do this,
to have a simulation where your partner may stray in the fiction.
I don't know if we need to go there.
Why are you obsessed with that element
of
the parallel?
I'm just worried for people like, this is fun. How many rides could I have gone on? Let's watch this sped up simulation. My wife is having an affair.
My wife's...
Why?
Within the simulation.
Okay, let's ask the I'm going to put them in air quotes. Let's ask the boffins if when they build the algorithm expected goes on, they can't, the avatars can't interact with other people. So it's not, your wife could have had a go on another man.
Yeah.
It's just rides. And I think that might get around having to build Atlantis.
Right. But then you get into the problem where your needs, you have basic human needs, and that can be nourishment, right? Everyone makes 1,000 different choices at every second of their life, right? So I'm going to go into association nosh ball for something to eat. That's a basic human need. You can't take away one thing out of these simulations without taking the whole lot away. And then we won't have any XG.
In real life, does the expected goals stat cover such a wide range of things?
It can't.
Are the pundits talking about, in the parallel world, Bowen for West Ham has fathered 8 kids?
He's having us on. This is a mathematical problem that they struggle with. It's game theory, and it's something called combinatorial explosion. And you have to limit any game or digitally created thing to a set of factors that something can interact with.
Is that why FIFA's so limited?
It's why it's limited. Because if you could go into a room and interact with anything, and then all of a sudden you could do anything with that thing, the variations on what you can do explode. So there's a limit to what you can do.
And if you had that in the simulation, they would explode, would they?
I think it would just crash.
Yeah.
It's not possible yet. We haven't reached that point. I don't think Mark's going to go away and build a supercomputer in 9 months.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll give it a bash.
So I don't think that we need to cover off I think we've pushed this to the limits of its scientific possibility.
Well, only if Mark builds it, we have.
You contact your boffins.
At OPTA?
The lads that you went to Sutton United with.
Yeah, Gandhi Green Lane.
Get them on and we'll
see if Sutton United are up for building a supercomputer under the ocean.
With gills.
All right. Okay. All in favour of the XG experience, say aye. 3, 2, 1.
No.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm nay just because I'm feeling a bit lazy. Don't want to design a supercomputer in 9 months.
Fair.
Foot. Footballland.
So from that think piece, that really deep cerebral thing, I'm going to return us back to a tried and tested Footballland tradition.
Bums and poo and willies.
They're all of that, and a giant fiberglass.
Brilliant.
Footballer. Yes.
We're on safe ground. We're on familiar ground.
Exactly. This is called. This is a facility. Right. And it's not in Footballland either. It's sort of on Footballland property-ish, but not quite.
Right.
But it's essential.
Okay.
And I think you'll agree with me in about 30 seconds. It's called the Romelu. It's called the Romelu
Okay.
Poo-Car-Queue.
The
Romelu Poo-Car-Queue.
Yeah.
Poo-Car-Queue.
I am worried that Footballland is going to become a bit too popular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very worried about that.
There is a
I'm
concern.
doing my damnedest to make sure that doesn't happen.
There is a bit of a worry. We have made some amazing stuff that people are just going to be desperate. And I'm not sure that we're going to get the infrastructure right in the time. So the way I'm imagining it at the minute, there's probably just one big fuck-off road that comes out of Doha to the site in a straight line.
Yeah.
Probably the easiest. It's tried and tested Roman method. And so I don't know if you remember last Christmas, there was lots of lorries couldn't get out of Dover because of Brexit and the pandemic. Yeah. And they all ended up having to queue on the motorway first off, and then they all got sent to an airfield. Yeah. And there was no facilities for them.
Manston.
Yeah, Manston, yeah. No facilities for them whatsoever. Like, it took a long time. And so, unfortunately, they were having to, poo in a bag and wee in a cup and that type of thing. And
they pooed and weed in each other's cups and bags as well.
Yeah, yes, they did. Yeah. And crisp packets.
Yeah, it was nice.
And an MP stepped in a poo recently.
Oh,
in Kent. Got out of a truck stop, stood in some human excrement.
Yeah, that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
And so what this is, imagine, those giant kind of cranes you get on at ferry, freight ferries.
Yeah.
They sort of straddle a container. Yeah. And they go backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
So we're talking that size.
Oh, yeah.
A giant fiberglass Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah.
And
what shirt is he wearing?
He's vertical or horizontal?
He's vertical. And so he's sort of just straddling, legs slightly apart.
Yeah.
Maybe hands on hips. But under his boots, where his studs are, they're actually wheels.
Okay.
And it just wheels over the top of the cars, up and down the traffic. If traffic builds up outside Footballland, we deploy the Romelu Poo-Car-Queue, and all the backed up traffic, there'll be people on there that need wheeze and poos.
Oh, yeah.
Desperately. Can't get them into Footballland yet.
Yeah.
Go on the Gary Lineker, shit themselves loop the loop.
Well, you won't have time for that.
They won't have time for that. Some people might want to hold it in so they get a go on that. Mm-hmm. But people that don't, they basically... This is not very advanced, but I think you flash your lights.
Yeah. Doggers and pooers.
Doggers and pooers. You flash your lights, 2 flashes, and it there's a little sensor on Rom, and he just
all the way back to Doha.
Wheels all the way down across all the other traffic.
Yeah.
He stops at your car, and you and your family can just get out, and there's a little door in either boot, and you just get in and have a wee and a poo.
Where does that flush out to?
Maybe it goes into his head. Because that makes sense.
Can you flush stuff up?
I thought what you were going to say is he picks your car up and whizzes you along to the Footballland car park. So if it's a toilet emergency,
you'll get people abusing that. They're pretending that they need the loo just to bypass the queue.
I think there'd be quite a heavy fine if you couldn't go to the toilet within 2 minutes.
You've got someone testing, right, you've got a poo, but in front of a security guard.
Yeah, but that's if you're getting the best, a great privilege of being carried in front of all the other cars to Footballland, parked in a car parking space, the least you can do is have a poo in front of a security guard.
All I'm trying to do... I don't know, but all I'm trying to do is offer a bit of convenience to the people of Footballland. It's like an extra service. We're giving back. At no point in Footballland are you inconvenienced. I mean, you know, if you get into the car park, it might inconvenience you. But at that point, no. I don't want anything coming down from Lukaku's undercarriage and picking a car up. No. And I don't think it's necessary. I'm thinking, again, Mark can do this. Fiberglass. Yeah, you can. I've got faith in you. Fiberglass.
Giant fiberglass Portaloo.
Yes, basically. Portaloo in each foot on wheels.
My worry is that... it's difficult to flush stuff up into a fiberglass head. My worry is it's going to be like a train toilet, and as soon as you flush so you're just going to get streaks of woo and pee, poo and wee on either side of the cars. Shoulder. Yeah,
I'm all right. I'm all right with a bit of that. I don't mind a bit of escapey excrement and stuff.
Anyone who gets out of their car to have a sandwich or whatever is going to...
Why are they getting out of the car? You're about to go to Footballland.
Yeah, why are you getting out of your car for a sandwich?
Peckish?
How often on the hard shoulder of the M25 have you got out of your car for a sandwich?
Daily.
You're in the middle of the desert. It's like 50-degree heat. You're in an air-conditioned car.
Should we just
go out and get instant skin cancer and have a jam sandwich?
I've got an egg mayonnaise in the back. If anyone's peckish.
I mean,
no, I'm just.
I think it's a legitimate
devil's advocate.
It's a legitimate concern that there might be a bit of leakage, but I have faith in you, and I think that I'm not saying like NASA toilet where you've got to create some kind of vacuum. But a simple sewage pump that can pump raw sewage up into Romelu Lukaku's head.
Yeah. And then that can be emptied daily.
If that spills out of his head, that's going to be horrific to watch.
All the time. And people will go, oh, there's Rom at it again.
He's got shit coming out of his ears again.
Yeah, again.
Is there just one car queue? Or do we have multiple queues and therefore multiple Romelu Poo-Car queues?
I'm going to say at this stage in the day, 9 months left, I'll take any road. At the minute, we've just got a patch of desert. Which is getting short on time. One road from Doha to Footballland. It's two-way. It's not a one-way system. And so we just need to build it with a sort of central reservation so Rom's foot can go.
Yeah, either way. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't, if anybody deserves being filled with shit, it's probably Lukaku, right?
Really, yeah. See, I think he's much maligned. Although recently he hasn't done himself any favours, but I don't think that means he deserves to have his head filled with poo.
Oh, I don't know. I think he was very silly. He was, I want to go back to Chelsea, I want to go back to Chelsea, I want to go back to Chelsea, I want to go back, I'm at Chelsea now, I don't want to be at Chelsea, I don't want to be at Chelsea. That's quite annoying. That's like, he's a bit like a child that hasn't been sort of threatened properly.
Right.
The kind of like, if you don't stop that, we're going to go home.
Yeah.
I think somebody needs to say that roughly, but to Romelu Lukaku in footballing terms.
Yeah.
Its grass is always greener, unless you're in a queue going into Footballland when the grass might be streaked with poo.
To answer your question, Mark, about do we have just one? We could have Kaka as well.
Oh,
we could have a fiberglass Kaka.
Kaka for Kaka.
So Kaka for Kaka, but that's only pooing.
Yeah.
Not so
you're not allowed to do any wheeze in there.
You can't do any wheeze in there. It's just Kaka.
I don't know about you guys, and I'm taking a punt here because I've never watched anyone else, but. If I'm doing number 2, there's always wee-wees involved. Is that the same for you too?
Yeah, it's interesting.
How do you enforce that?
It's very difficult to enforce, but them's the rules with Kaka.
Well, fair enough.
And,
as long as we display that clearly and everyone understands.
If that means fewer people visit Kaka, then so be it. He's on commission. And the way we pay for their image rights is we give a percentage for every poo done in Kaka. So, he's not going to make as much money.
That's a fair exchange.
And that's good business sense for us.
There's a legitimate question. We're 3 men, just about. Is that the same for women? Because it could be a men's and women's. And so...
I'm going to say yes, but without any scientific awareness whatsoever.
Yes, you're going to go...
So, hang on, what is yes? Is yes they do poo without weeing?
If you don't know, you don't know.
I think it's actually true that they
can poo
without weeing. So therefore, if you're a woman and you need a poo, you go in caca.
Yeah.
And if you're a man and you need a poo, you go in Lukaku.
And they'll like that because it'll be cleaner.
It will be so much cleaner. Yeah, there'll be no wee.
There'll be no wee on the seat.
Yeah. The women, they'll like that. I'm trying to think of any other footballers that, just in case, because we're going to have a lot of people at Footballland.
You need somebody with like a wee in their name. There's not many, are there?
No.
And there's not many pisses either.
Colin Urin played for Rangers, I think.
Jibril Pissé.
Oh, yeah, Jibril Pissé. Yeah, I mean, technically, Romelu Lukaku is called Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, he doesn't have poo in his name, does he? No.
But what he does have is got Lou in his name. So good they named him twice.
Yeah, so he could just be Lukaku instead of Poo-Car-Queue.
Exactly.
So he could be Lou for the wheeze.
Romelu, Lulu,
and Kaka for the poos. So you could have a strictly booing and weeing.
If the two, like Kaka and Romelu, are lined up, it's possible you could be in Kaka doing a poo and there's wheeze coming. Yeah. You just sprint out to Romelu, do a wee and then go back into Kaka.
Yeah. Well, no, then you go back to your car.
Well, no, because sometimes
mid.
It's in the middle,
He's talking about a mid-poo wee.
I think...
Right, okay.
We've not done that well at avoiding scatology.
So you're in a traffic jam, and you're just in a traffic jam without needing the toilet, and you just see the car in front of you, you see someone dash out to go in one portaloo, and then they dash into another one, like wading along with their pants around their ankles, and then back again.
Ignore the person leaping out the car with the pants around the ankles.
Whoever's on the side having their sandwiches is going to be put right off.
Yeah. Oh, I really don't feel like this chocolate spread sandwich.
Yeah, this peanut butter is not going down well.
I ignore the pooing and weeing for a second. It's quite a fun image.
Yeah.
A giant fiberglass.
Yeah.
Like, what's that called when you put your hands on your hips? There's a name for it.
Double teapot.
Double teapot. Imagine Romelu Lukaku double teapotting it, just steaming it. Like a monorail, but whatever, like a catamaran version of a monorail.
Yeah.
That's... And it sort of rushes past and blows your hair in the wind as it...
I think we should...
Oh, that would be nice to cool people down in a traffic
do that
jam.
Anyway.
Might be a bit of a... We need to work on the smell, because it's a bit like when a bin lorry goes past and you have to wind your windows up. But it would be like a portaloo going past at 60 miles an hour.
Chemical toilet,
yeah. So,
well, could you remove all pooing and weeing and just have no cars going from Doha and just a giant monorail of Lukaku going on roller skates?
And you cling onto his back.
You could cling onto his back, or you could sit in his legs and bottom.
I tell you what I will allow, that if you can't be asked, if you're like a really bastard wife and kids, and you can't be asked to wait for your dad to park up, you could hop on Ramen Kaka and get a quick piggyback into Footballland quickly. I'm up for that. I still think it should function as a toilet. I'm not that keen on us spending all that money on just a...
No. One can drive as well. It could be an arsey dad that goes in.
That is true. I feel like the social pressure... Maybe there are some men that would do that. But... I'm up for all of those.
Cool.
All of the above.
Okay.
I think we're ready for
I'm ready to vote on that. Yeah, I'm happy with the installation of Kaka because, what a player. Addition, and, people, especially in South America, will really... And also, AC Milan, Inter Milan, the rivals. They can be rival toilets.
Cross-continental appeal.
Absolutely,
Yeah. All right. All those in favour of the Romelu Poo-Car-Queue plus Kaka, featuring Kaka, or ex-Kaka.
Yeah, ex-Kaka.
Ex-Kaka. Say aye after 3. 1, 2, 3.
Aye.
Nice.
Yeah, congratulations. Well done.
And I feel we're getting to a level now. We've got enough giant fiberglass footballers that we can just start having them as a uniform body. And we just
that'll
work
save
on the
you
head.
a lot of design.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Yeah,
I think that's...
Yeah.
Son, tell them about Footballland.
Footballland is the one for me. Footballland is the one for me. Good for you and your baby. Yeah.
Footballland. I love it. I actually do.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
what a lovely time
we had.
Sad that it's come to an end.
Yeah.
for this week.
Yeah, that's right. Next time we're building.
I feel we are actually making progress now. Yeah, we've got shovels. We're thinking a bit more practically about things.
I've been strong-armed into doing a simulation.
Yeah.
So that's progress.
But then we've also made a fiberglass template. I reckon we've got enough.
A big help.
We've got enough fiberglass footballers now that you can just make a fiberglass template and then we can work on the heads.
Yeah.
Worry about that later.
About that later. And any Patreons, if you want to pitch us your ride, and just remember about the templates, we've got that. And also, we can reskin the simulation. If you've got any simulation ideas, I think Mark can reskin that too.
Yeah, probably. I don't know, but I'm saying yes.
And if you've got any ideas for clone stuff under the sea.
If you're a musical bent, then sing us a song and we'll use it as a jingle.
That's right. All of those 3, 4, 5, 6 then.
Okay.
All right, see you next time. Bye.